Carney. Okay, let's talk about marijuana. That's what we're all here to talk about this morning. So first, legal marijuana. Colorado is about a year and a half into their legalization policy, and I wrote a piece this week about how the taxes they're collecting are coming in way below expectations. The state thought it would take in about $115 million in marijuana taxes in its first full year of legalization. They're in fact only going to take in about $69 million. And one of the things you hear, I mean, it started years ago with all the people like hemp can fix everything. And one of the things you would hear about marijuana legalization is that it's this big boon to state budgets. The Colorado provision actually is supposed to send $40 million a year to school construction, but they only collected enough to put $20 million towards school construction based on the way their rules work. So, like, why should we be legalizing marijuana, and like what's the reason if it's not these, you know, these tax reasons?
I think we need to figure out how to market this stuff. I think we need to figure out how to sell it.
The problem
and I really,
are you on the case?
And I really think you know, maybe they were calculating people who buy in dime bags. I'm pretty sure they don't buy. Do we know what 3 cents? Do we know what dime bags are?
A dime
They're
bag
like
is a gram, right?
$20 for a gram of marijuana.
$20 for a gram?
For a gram.
It's gone up since I was in college.
That's the going rate in New York City, I think, since I was in college.
Okay.
Which was something that I heard in a song.
According to surveys?
According to surveys.
According to surveys, yes.
So a dime bag, like, that's a unit that people purchase. I think we need to figure out how are we selling this stuff? Who are we getting it to? Is it too expensive? Is the black market rate cheaper? Like, we need to do some focus groups, because if we're going to kill the black market marijuana trade, we need to be, you know, on par in terms of price.
But isn't that one of the things that's going on in Colorado, is that it hasn't actually killed the black market?
That's the problem, because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And that's why you're not taking in the revenue that you want.
So there are a few things happening there. One is that you have medical marijuana. And like in a lot of states, like, you're supposed to have a specific list of conditions to get it, but, you know, there are different doctors who are more and less willing to write recommendations. Technically, they're not called prescriptions for medical marijuana. So you have a lot of people who have those authorizations, and the medical marijuana is much more lightly taxed than the commercial marijuana. So the state sort of assumed people who are really, you know, it's like, oh, I have stress, but not really. Like, those people would go buy in the commercial market, but they're buying in the medical market because it's cheaper. You also have this big informal market, partly traditional, like, black market trafficking and sale, but
people
you also
kind of like to buy it from their dude who comes up with a bike or whatever. And
and Colorado also has very liberal rules on home grow that are, again, rooted in its medical marijuana that goes back more than a decade, but the rules are so relaxed that it's fairly easy to have a bunch of plants and be like, oh, I'm a caregiver, but not really. So on the other hand, you've seen this very sharp drop in prices at commercial retail. I spoke with someone yesterday who said that prices in the Denver area have fallen between 16 and 30% just in the last 5 months. Mark Kleiman, who's an expert on drug policy at UCLA, setting up the Washington state legal market, thinks prices are going to go as low as $2 a gram, so 10% of that survey-based market price in New York City that Lynette just quoted.
$2 a gram?
$2 a gram. And so the thing is, people will buy from the commercial stores if it's only $2 a gram, but the taxes in Colorado are set as a percentage of price.
Sure.
So if the price craters like that, the revenues are going to crater too.
Can I just say, it actually never crossed my mind that the economic justification for liberalizing weed would be because of the, because of the impact on the budget or the fact that you'd be able to spend money. It would be something that would happen over time, right? The fact that a lot of people, a lot of young people wouldn't be going to jail for something that's really quite stupid, right? And that over time you end up with a better labor force, people with cleaner records, they get jobs, they spend money, that kind of thing. That would be the justification for it. I never
in general, the pot prohibition was not a very good use of society's resources. So rather than how much money are we going to make, I think not wasting a lot of police resources on trying to crack down on people smoking pot is a lot better of a justification. But it is interesting to me that we're seeing prices of a lot of things that people thought were would stay pretty high, oil and pot cratering so low, and part of it is because I think people under anticipated how much possible supply there was. I mean, look, people said, well, this is where I think the price of marijuana will be. Of course, as legalization proceeds, the price is going to drop. This is surprising to people. Maybe it's because a lot of the pot growers weren't necessarily economists.
Maybe they need more competition from other states too. That, as other states start to decriminalize, that then it starts to get, people going out of state or importing stuff or
Your dad should be
like
working
that,
on
you know?
this. He's an economist.
This is a little bit more of a micro issue than he usually works on. I will send him an email and suggest that he do that. But I think you're right that prices ought to drop dramatically after legalization, because a huge part of the cost of growing marijuana is that you have to do it illegally. Running an illegal business is much less efficient than running a legal business. You have to pay people to compensate for the risk of going to jail. There are all sorts of business investments you would make in a legal business that you can't because someone can come in and steal your stuff and you have no legal resource. So it makes sense that the price would fall. It's actually likely to fall to a really concerning level because alcohol, first of all, alcohol is too cheap in the United States and encourages problem use because we have very light taxes on it. But at least alcohol has substantial physical production costs. You have to ship a bunch of heavy liquid around. You have to distill things. In some cases, you have to age it. Marijuana, I mean, they call it weed for a reason. It is not actually that expensive to cultivate.
Have you ever tried to grow marijuana, my friend?
I gather it is quite difficult indoors.
But no, I've seen marijuana growing
I've never,
on the side of the road in Omaha, Nebraska, just a couple blocks away from Warren Buffett's house. There was just a marijuana plant on the side of the highway, and
How'd you know it was a marijuana plant?
I recognized it from television.
Okay,
and that's why they call him the Oracle of Omaha.
So
that's how he gets his visions.